Hello all, welcome back to Project Mastery Podcast. We will be covering requirement gathering techniques in today's episode. Let's first understand what is a requirement. Requirement is something what a stakeholder wants. Requirement is something what a stakeholder wants from a particular project or what he desires from a particular product. How he visualizes the outcome. What is his need? What is he expecting from the outcome? How does he want the product to add value? A requirement for a product could be I need a product with feature A, feature B with all these capabilities. It might include quality requirements. It might also include project management requirements like I want to use waterfall methodology for this project. It could include security requirements. For example, this needs to be compliant with GDPR. Whether you follow an adaptive approach or agile approach, it is extremely important to understand that requirements need to be gathered clearly. All the requirements need to be gathered upfront for the particular requirement phase or for a particular sprint, because we know that whenever there is a missed requirement which is discovered late in the life cycle of the project, the cost of rework is going to be extremely high. Let us get into the commonly used requirement gathering techniques. We're starting with interview. Interview is a technique where one-to-one group sessions take place. You are going to uncover the needs and expectations of the stakeholders. This is also referred as expert interviews. The project manager is going to interview the project stakeholders to elicit the inputs from the stakeholder, to elicit the requirements from the stakeholder for the particular product. Interview takes place between two individuals. Interview can also be conducted through email. The interview can also be conducted through phone. You may also use virtual collaboration tools. Moving on to the next technique, which is called workshop or JAD sessions. Workshops are collaborative sessions to align requirements. JAD stands for Joint Application Design. JAD sessions are used primarily in software development efforts. JAD sessions involve eliciting inputs and requirements to enhance the process of developing the software. The next technique is about observation or job shadowing. This means you're going to work in the particular environment where the end user or customer is working. You actually watch how the work is actually done. You're going to learn about the business process. You're going to get a feel of the work environment of all the stakeholders. You're going to watch a potential user of the product, how he is performing at work, and this practical observation will help you identify the requirements. Moving on to the next technique, which is document and process analysis. Document analysis refers to reviewing the existing documentation such as contracts, policy manuals, standard operating procedures, system specification, past project reports, and regulatory guidelines. Process analysis is all about how do you study the current workflow, the current process map, or the operation steps to identify inefficiency, gap, and improvement opportunities. Both are useful tools in requirement gathering. You will be able to uncover the existing knowledge. It provides a baseline of the current practices, rules, and systems. You are going to reduce the risk of reinventing requirements that are already documented. You will be able to identify the gaps and pain points, highlight the mismatches between documented process and the real-world execution. It will expose inefficiencies that are translated into new requirements for automation or redesign. You will also be able to ensure compliance with standards using this technique. You will be able to validate the requirements against the regulatory, legal, contractual obligations. You can prevent costly rework due to overload compliance factors. It will also accelerate stakeholder engagement. You are going to use the existing documents or process maps as a starting point, which will save time in stakeholder discussions. This will also provide tangible reference material for validation sessions. Moving on to the next technique, which is called prototyping or wireframe. It's a visual mock-up to refine unclear needs. Prototype is actually a model of the proposed product. It is being presented to the stakeholders and you are going to get feedback. The prototype may be updated a number of times to incorporate the feedback until all the requirements have been confirmed for the particular product. Moving on to the next technique, this is called surveys and questionnaires. Surveys and questionnaires are structured inputs from large audiences. They are typically used for larger groups. The questions are asked in such a way to elicit the needs from the participants. The next technique is brainstorming. We all know that brainstorming sessions will create ideas. Ideas are going to be generated by person 1. That idea is going to generate another idea, and this is how it keeps moving. It's a collective idea generation process for requirement discovery. One person is going to come up with an idea or is going to come up with a scope. That idea is going to generate an idea from another participant, which leads to another idea, and this process will keep going on. The results of the brainstorming session, all these ideas will then need to be evaluated and ranked according to different techniques like nominal group technique, which we will cover in this episode. The next technique is use case and scenarios, which refers to user stories or system interaction stories. Use cases describe how a user interacts with the system to achieve a goal, capturing functional requirements. Scenarios are narrative examples of specific user journeys, including normal paths and exception paths, that will help you uncover hidden requirements. Example, a customer logs into the banking application to transfer money. What steps, what validations, what error conditions are required. Moving on to the next technique called focus groups or forum. This is a technique where you gather user or customer's perspectives. Focus group technique is going to help elicit the requirements and the opinions for the particular product from the stakeholders and subject matter experts. Members of focus group are usually selected from the group of customers. The group is going to be demographic specific. They will discuss their ideas with each other, and the conversation has to be facilitated by a moderator. The next technique is benchmarking and market analysis. It is all about comparing with competitors and standards. You're going to identify and define the requirements by looking at what the competitor is doing. Benchmarking focuses on measuring the organization's performance against that of other organizations within the same industry. Benchmarking is a time-consuming, costly process. There's a possibility of creativity being limited because you are focusing on the solution which has already been developed elsewhere and not focusing on something new or innovative from your end. The next technique is SWOT and root cause analysis. SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for strength, weakness, opportunity, threats. It's a strategic tool to assess internal strengths and weaknesses and external opportunities and threats related to a project or business area. It is going to support the requirement gathering by analyzing the gaps, which are basically weaknesses or threats. You uncover requirements for improvements or risk controls. Example, by exploring strengths and opportunities, you surface enhancement requirements or competitive differentiators. Example, in an ERP system upgrade, weakness refers to current system that lacks real-time reporting. Hence, you come up with a requirement to build real-time dashboards. In the same example, when we talk about an opportunity in the ERP system upgrade, we are saying that competitor uses AI forecasting, which is an opportunity, and you will come up with a requirement that says add predictive analytics. SWOT ensures requirements are not just technical but also tied to strategic business drivers. RCA is a problem-solving method to identify the underlying causes of an issue rather than just symptoms. Techniques may include 5 whys and fishbowl diagram. How is it going to support requirement gathering? By tracing problems to the root cause, you uncover real requirements that solve business pain points. It's going to prevent the team from writing requirements that only address surface level issues. Let's take an example here. In a customer service project, you have a problem of high call volumes. When you look into the why, you come to know that customers can't track orders online. This results in a particular requirement which is derived from this RCA analysis. The requirement is going to be build an online order tracking portal. RCA ensures requirements are business problem driven, not just stakeholder wish list. SWOT is basically a strategic lens. You find requirements from opportunities, gaps and risks. RCA uses diagnostic lens. You find requirements by solving root business problems. Moving on to the next technique, which is called Delphi technique. It's an iterative expert consensus anonymous technique. It's a structured communication method where a panel of experts provide input anonymously in multiple rounds. After each round, feedback is shared and experts revise their views until consensus is reached. It's used in requirement gathering. It's very useful when requirements are complex or conflicting or uncertain. It is going to allow gathering insights from SMEs without bias. It's commonly used for forecasting, prioritizing requirements and identifying risks. Advantage is to reduce influence of strong personalities in open workshops. This technique will encourage honest expert input since it is anonymous. It will definitely build consensus systematically. This is also a time-consuming technique and relies heavily on expert availability and quality of input. We move on to the next technique, which is called affinity diagram. Affinity diagram is going to organize a large volume of requirements into categories. There is a separate episode explaining this diagram. Please take your time to look into the episode. We will move on to the next technique called mind mapping. Mind mapping is a visual technique to explore and expand related ideas from a central concept. There is an upcoming episode to explain mind mapping with a practical example. You can refer to the episode for more details on this technique. The next technique is going to be nominal group technique, which we call it as NGT. Nominal group technique is a structured discussion followed by ranking or voting on requirements. When do we use them? You use them when priorities are contested. We have to ensure everyone's voice is counted in this technique. Nominal group technique is usually but not always conducted in the same room or meeting where brainstorming sessions happen. It's more structured than any other technique and it's going to follow 4 steps. You're going to pose a question or an issue. All the meeting participants are going to write down the ideas and they're going to share the ideas. The group discusses what has been shared and then the ideas are going to be ranked based on which ideas are going to be most useful. The next technique is context diagram. Context diagram refers to a high-level view of system boundaries, external actors and data flows. The next technique is multi-criteria decision analysis. MCDA is all about scoring competing requirements using weighted criteria. Multi-criteria decision analysis is a way to rank ideas based on certain criteria. Stakeholders may quantify the requirements using a decision matrix based on certain factors. The factors could be expected risk level of the requirement, what is going to be the time estimate, the cost estimate, the benefit estimate. Based on these factors, based on these criteria, you are going to quantify the requirements. Decision is going to be taken based on multiple criteria. This technique is going to be used when you want to choose between conflicting requirements. You need to agree on weights before scoring to avoid bias. The last technique we are going to talk about is voting. Voting is a very simple technique. It's all about majority, unanimity, plurality. It's going to be used for quick decision making when options are clear. You're going to solicit input about the requirements from various stakeholders where there are conflicting requirements. Voting is commonly used to make decisions in a group setting. The group is going to agree on a particular requirement unanimously. Everyone is going to agree upon it. The decision is going to be very easy. The decision making process is also simplified if there is a single person being assigned who is going to represent the entire group and who is the one who is going to make the decision for the entire group. When there are conflicting opinions, groups may also take a majority approach. The group chooses the decision that more than half of its members support. If there is no majority opinion, the group has got one more option. It can go with the decision that has the largest number of supporters. This is known as plurality. As said before, voting is all about majority, unanimity, and plurality. We have covered the commonly used requirement gathering techniques. We need to understand that in real world projects, we rarely rely on just one technique. A skilled project manager is going to use multiple techniques. He or she may use decision techniques, example NGT and MCDA, to ensure requirements are completely valid and prioritized. Elicitation techniques like interviews, observation are being used. Analysis techniques like SWOT and document review can be used. Decision techniques like NGT, MCDA can be used. Voting and NGT are powerful in steering committees where time is short but decisions must be made transparently. We're going to combine voting with MCDA for more balanced objective prioritization. Always document the decision making process. You can avoid future disputes about why certain requirements were accepted or dropped. There's no single technique that says this is enough. You have to use a blend, tailored to the project size, tailored to the project risk, tailored to the stakeholders. Do keep in mind that there's a cultural context always that matters the most. In some organizations, stakeholders open up only in one-to-one interviews. In some organizations, workshops drive consensus faster. Please do understand the requirements must always be traced back to business objectives and tested for feasibility. It has to be tested for clarity. It should also be tested for completeness. We have come to the end of this episode. Hope the knowledge is valuable. Thank you for tuning in.